Hello, it's Jane, and I am here with my most recent reads. I haven't made a video for a while, so there's been a lot of recent reads. A couple real wins that I want to talk to you about, and then, some misses as well, including a couple surprising misses. Some of these books I'm going to be doing more content on. A lot of them I'm just going to tell you that I read it, that I rated it, what I liked and didn't, and call it a day because I'm behind in life.
Pictures and patterns put into words that stream across the page, capturing life as soft spoken.
All right, so the first book I read was The Plot. This is a thriller mystery about a guy who is a writing teacher, and he steals the plot of a book from one of his students after the student is deceased, and then is getting these threatening messages, basically I know you stole this plot and it's not yours, and bad things happen. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I didn't necessarily like the narrator. He was kind of a jerk, and I think he was meant to be. He's meant to be unlikable. I did have a good time once we got into it, had a little bit of trouble getting into it. Overall, though, was a good read. The next book I read was The Wife Upstairs. This is apparently a retelling of Jane Eyre. I've never read Jane Eyre. This book is basically about this girl who meets this guy, and I don't know, she doesn't really fall in love because she's kind of using him, and he has his wife locked upstairs in a safe room, and you figure out, like, why is his wife upstairs, what is really going on, etc. So I gave that one a 3 out of 5. I didn't really enjoy a lot of things about it. Firstly, like, nobody was likable at all, and I just didn't find it all that interesting or believable. But, that was just kind of me. The next book I read was a graphic novel, and it is Invisible. This is one that I read for middle grade March. I did not do a separate middle grade March video this year. Here I was over on TikTok and Insta doing that. But this is a graphic novel called Invisible. It is kind of a retelling of The Breakfast Club. That's the closest thing I would give as a comparison. These kids are on cafeteria duty, and they learn that they are more similar than they think. I really enjoyed this. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was just a really cute, sweet, good middle grade read. The next book I did was another graphic novel, and it was The Cool Japan Guide. This book is all about traveling in Japan. It's a graphic novel where the author takes us through tips and tricks for traveling in Japan, information about their travels in Japan. It was a really cute, nice read, and I really had a good time with it. The next book I read is one that I can't give a rating to because it was written by somebody I know in real life, and I just don't give ratings to books that I read in real life, or I don't give ratings to books by people I know in real life. So this is Steel Fox. It is also a middle grade, and it was one that I read for the prompt of sci-fi or dystopian. It is about a society where children are getting superpowers, and our main character, Fox, he does not have superpowers and is really concerned about, like, what is going to happen to his mom and his sister if the bad superpowered people come. I really love this. I think this is a great middle grade. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, and I think it's intended for, like, the younger end of middle grade as far as plot wise. It's very easy to follow, very simple, doesn't have a lot of extraneous stuff, very on point, but is also very action packed and superhero-y, and was a lot of fun. I really truly had a good time with it. I do think that some of the language used is a little complex for a middle grade, like a young middle grade. Like, the story was maybe not as complex as I would want, but for the language used. So I did think there was just a slight change there. So if you have a middle grade reader who is a very strong reader, this might, even if they're younger, be a really good, fun, very quick, very actiony, busy book. Whereas as a lot of the older books that I read, like I'm currently reading Morrigan Crow, and that's a very nuanced, complex, a little slower moving, but kind of that same vein of the fantasy or sci-fi children's middle grade, and they're just very different, and definitely different ends of the middle grade spectrum. So, but I did love that. I thought it was really overall very good. The next one I read was The Secret of the Old Clock. This was also for middle grade March, and it is a book with the Sear Sky on the cover. And it is, I do believe, the first Nancy Drew mystery. So Nancy Drew meets this family who is in poverty, and they were supposed to receive money in a will, but the will has been lost, and the people who've gotten the money are terrible people. So she's trying to help them find the will that is missing. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5. I think it is amazing for what it is. If you like classics, if you want to see where the genre comes from, it was a really great book in that way. But as a personal enjoyment, I didn't like it very much. I'm not a huge classics reader, and it read like a classic, and it was cool to see where the genre came from, but personal enjoyment, I didn't particularly enjoy it that much. The next book I read was A Boy Called Bat. It is about a little boy whose mom finds I want to say it's a baby skunk. She's a veterinarian, and she's taking care of this baby skunk until they can take it to the rehabilitation center, and he just falls in love with this little skunk. And he is on the spectrum, and actually, like, it was the prompt was a neurodiversity read. And I love Bat. He's so cute, and I really related to, like, it's a young middle grade, but I really related to his love of animals and all the stuff, and it was just so, so fun. I really had a good time with it, and I think I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. Again, it's for what it is. As an adult, I didn't necessarily think it was the best book ever, but for a middle grade, it was really fun and really cute and really great, and I had a good time. With the Fire on High. This one I had really complicated feelings for, and I think I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5, but it was very more like a 3.5 for me. This is about a woman who is a teenage mom, and she wants to go to culinary school. She wants to do culinary stuff. She has this background in the culinary arts and really wants to do that. And she is trying to balance that with being a single mom of a child and in high school and all the stuff. I know that this is a BookTube favorite, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. There was a lot that didn't work for me, and I think part of it may just be I'm the wrong audience for this book. It is YA, and I just felt like sometimes the problems that were faced by the character, I don't want to say they were dumb, because that's not what I mean, but they were not things that I thought should have been as big of an issue as they were for this character. And I found it at times really frustrating to see, like, how things played out. All right, so the next book, and we're getting into ones I've read really recently, so I have slightly more to say, and we'll be making videos about some of these. Daisy Darker by Alex Feeney. Oh boy, I don't even know how to tell you anything that is not a spoiler to this, so I will just give you the briefest of explanations. This is about Daisy Darker, who goes to her grandmother's birthday party, and family members start dying. It was twisty, it was turny. I definitely think this is a book that you're either going to love or hate. I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-star for me. I could definitely see people not liking it. There's a lot of twists, and some of the twists were ones that I didn't necessarily feel as a reader were fair. Other people did. I was reading Goodreads reviews and people are like, oh, well, everybody knew that was coming because blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I didn't see that. And like, I even went back and was trying to see what these signals were that I didn't pick up. No, I couldn't. I think people were just, maybe they really did know and just read different types of books than I do. But some of the things felt a little bit unfair. But overall, I had a really good time with this book, and I just it did things I wasn't expecting. And if you can go into it with an open mind and realize that some of the stuff is maybe not totally fair, twist wise, there's stuff that you probably won't guess. Maybe you will. Maybe you're better than me and you can guess it all. I was surprised, but it was a pleasant, different thing. So I had a good time. The next book I read was The Shining by Stephen King. I always have a mixed feelings about Stephen King. I did like this better than a lot of his other stuff. We'd watched the movie and I hated the movie. I thought this movie was so dumb and really enjoyed the book. It is a little long and meandering sometimes. It takes forever for things to happen. There's a lot of character study. And sometimes I love that. And sometimes it was like, all right, I'm listening to this. I listened to it as an audiobook while I was doing other things. And I was like, could we please just do this? Like, let's move on. You have told me now that your dad wasn't a jerk. Could we move on? But The Shining, if you don't know, I don't know how you couldn't, but if you don't, The Shining is about this family that goes and stays at a hotel over the winter. The dad is the caretaker, and bad things happen. And like I said, I really enjoyed it more than I expected to because I love King's ideas. I don't always like his execution. This one was pretty good, actually. So I was happy about that. The next book I read was From Cradle to Grave. And this is a murder mystery. It is a historical murder mystery. It is the third book in a series. I read book 1 and 2. Really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed this one the most so far. It has a lot of character development. It had a lot of character stuff going on. Will Reese, I think that's his name, is this guy, and his wife is from a Shaker community. They are post-Revolutionary War. It's a historical mystery. And they get a letter from one of her friends from the Shaker community saying, I was accused of a kidnapping. I need you to come and bring your husband. He's solved mysteries before. Come help me. So they travel and find out that she did indeed kidnap some kids. There were, and this is like really early in the book, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything. There's a woman who is not taking as good of care of her kids as she should, and their friend Mouse attempted to take these children and take them to the Shaker community, but obviously you can't just kidnap children from their mother, and that causes problems. While as Will and his wife are there dealing with this situation, some murders happen, and then he's investigating those. So I had a really good time with this. I don't remember if the back of the book tells you or not, but one of the people who is killed is the mother. So Will and his wife start fostering these kids, and that was my favorite part of the book. All the parenting going on in the background as they're looking for the person who killed the mother of these children, and oh, it was just so good. I really enjoy this series. It kind of gives me vibes of the Gaslight mystery series, which is my all-time favorite mystery series. I don't necessarily love this on that level, but a lot of the things I love about that series is in this series as well. I did a review for books 1 and 2 a while ago, and I will tell you, like in books 1 and 2, there were some things that I felt were slightly problematic. I don't think that's the case in this. This didn't have any issues. However, I do also think that this is one of those series that you almost have to read all the way through because it is so heavily character-based. With book 3, maybe you could get away with just jumping in at book 3. You can look at my videos to see if the things that I found a little problematic are going to be problematic for you, but they're spoilery. I don't know. It was my personal opinion. But love this one. 4-star. Best of the ones I've read in the series so far. And the last book I read recently was In an Absent Dream. And this is book 4 of the Wayward Children series, maybe. And it is about character Lundy and Lundy's portal world. So if you're new to the series, it's about kids who go to portal worlds and there's this magical school. And the books kind of alternate between the school stuff and what's happening at the school versus kids in their portal world. So this is, like I said, book 4, and we have a character who goes through a portal world, and it's a really interesting concept of a world. It's very based on this concept of fair value, and it brings so many thoughts and questions and opinions into how we protect each other from being taken advantage of, and capitalism and socialism and all this stuff. And it was really interesting, a really interesting world. I liked Lundy as a character. I will say I didn't love the beginning. I didn't love the ending, but I love the middle. So it was a little slow to start, and the resolution maybe wasn't what didn't really necessarily work for me. I thought it worked okay for the book. I just personally didn't love it. So, but the middle of the book, all the stuff happening in the portal world, I was totally there for it. I was there for Lundy's personal dilemma as all this is going on. And I will say the pacing is super fast, so that may not be everybody's cup of tea. These are very quick, almost fairy tale-esque tellings of stories. So you have a little bit of an omniscient narration. You have things that this may not be your cup of tea, but I enjoyed it type thing. So omniscient narration, really fast pacing, minimal amounts of detail that is not directly related to the plot. So if you have the issues that I do with fantasy where you're like, I like fantasy, but I don't love fantasy, and fantasy can be a really hard thing for me when we're doing a ton of detailed things about a world, give this a try. You might really like it. All right, guys, this has been Jane. I hope you enjoyed my wrap up. If you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought down below. If you know of any other historical mysteries other than the Gaslight Mysteries that are very also character heavy, have a romance subplot, I love that. I am here for that. I want all of those. So please let me know about those. And I will see you guys next time. This has been Jane. Bye.